Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new League of Legends video. So as I'm sure most of you know by now, TriForce has been changed quite significantly. Now in my patch 6.11 preview video, I did mention this change, talked about it with you guys, and just overall gave you a very rough idea on what type of champions can potentially be very good with it. Well, it's been a few more days, I've had more time to think about it, and I made a list of champions that I believe will be or are OP with this item. So the style of this video is going to be very similar to the one that I made before talking about the new Guinsoo's Rageblade or the new Hextech Proto Belt. Now right before we jump into the 5 champions plus 1 honorable mention, the question of this video is, which champion do you think is going to be the strongest, the most OP with the new TriForce? And if you end up enjoying this video, then make sure to hit that like button to let me know. Alright guys, so let's get things started and talk about the first champion I believe to utilize TriForce quite effectively. And that champion is going to be Yasuo. So now I know a lot of you are curious on where exactly does Yasuo stand with this TriForce change. I mean, is it good? Is it bad? When do I get it? And a whole bunch of similar questions. Now, while this video is not specifically focusing on Yasuo and the new builds you can do with him and TriForce and incorporating it, I do want to mention that I honestly think the new TriForce is actually a very good item on him. Now, I am thinking of making an in-depth Yasuo video talking about all the potential builds you can now do on him utilizing the new TriForce and without it for mid lane and top lane, while also featuring Arcadata, who is a Challenger's Yasuo main on the EUS server. Getting him in the video, having his opinions as well, so if that's something you're interested in, let me know by hitting the like button so we can start working on it. But other than that, I mean, the new TriForce gives Yasuo an insane amount of extra attack speed so that he can cap his Q's CDR quicker. Sheena's always been a strong item on him, even though the mana is useless because, well, I mean, the CDR is okay, but the extra damage applied on the Q because the Q will proc Sheen's damage is fantastic. And Phage, arguably one of the best stats an item can offer for Yasuo that is not critical strike chance, giving him tankiness so he can be in the middle of the fight more often, but also giving him that move speed because Yasuo is all about that mobility. And there are several builds you can do, whether you get it as a 3rd or 4th item after you already have 100% crit chance with other items. You can even do builds where you don't go for 100% crit chance and maybe get it as a 1st or 2nd item. All in all, I do believe the TriForce item is still fantastic on Yasuo and you should not count it out. But moving on to the next champion in this list is going to be Jax. Now this one should not come as a surprise to anyone. Jax has always been one of the best champions with TriForce. But I will say that I do feel like the new TriForce is even better on him because yeah, before critical strike chance was an okay stat. I mean, you know, he attacks often, so chances are if you get that random crit, it's pretty nice. But taking away that crit chance from Jax and the TriForce, maybe, you know, having a proc every now and then and not really being able to flat out rely on it, but instead give him more CDR and give him much more attack speed, well, you got an even better champion. You don't need me to tell you that Jax is all about the attack speed. I mean, he has the auto attack reset with his W, but his ultimate scales insanely well, does a lot of damage. Guinsoo's Rageblade with TriForce is just absolutely godly. Jax is one of the most definitive on-hit champions in League of Legends. He works with TriForce very well because of the Sheen damage and the W. I mean, this item just went from being a great item to a fantastic item on Jax. So without question, this is the champion that just got indirectly buffed. I'm definitely expecting to see Jax a lot more frequently in my games because he just utilizes this new TriForce so well. Jax has always been known to be a split pusher, someone who can duel 1v1. This makes things even better because not only can he probably duel even better, but he will be annihilating those towers even quicker because again, the extra attack speed is going to be a lot more useful to destroying towers than critical strike chance, since critical strike chance does not apply on structures. All in all though guys, I feel like Jax is not a surprise. Obviously probably one of the best champions with the new TriForce. Expect to see him more frequently, and if you're playing Jax, there's almost no reason that you should not buy this item on him. But speaking of obvious champions, let's move into obvious champion number 2, Irelia. You can sometimes argue that next to Jax, Irelia might be an even more staple champion with TriForce because she also gets it in almost every single build that she'll ever do. Whether you're going for just flat out glass cannon Irelia full damage, or if you're going for a TriForce Irelia followed by just tank items. If you ever see an Irelia without TriForce, then you should probably report them for trolling because that's probably what they're doing. Now, just like Jax, Irelia was never really really the biggest fan of critical strike chance. I mean, if she ever got it, TriForce was the only item that would ever give her any form of critical strike chance. And just like Jax, taking away maybe doing a little bit more damage in a very kind of awkward way, but instead offering 25% bonus attack speed and also even more CDR is just a fantastic trade-off. Irelia is another on-hit champion, I mean, especially if you go for the Gwynsu's Rage Blade, but the main thing being her W dealing the true damage. It's obvious that being able to attack more frequently while having this W active is just a win-win scenario. But it goes beyond that because Irelia is known for her stun. It's really strong, it's very easy to do, and it stuns for a very good duration. Now that she has extra attack speed coming from this core item that she gets no matter what, well, she's probably going to be getting even more attacks during that single stun duration. She's now getting 20% CDR rather than 10%, which means more Qs, more Ws, more Es, more ultimates. And if Irelia, which is a pretty common thing to do, goes Triforce into Frozen Heart, there you have it, 40% CDR right there from items that heavily benefit her. Just like Jax, this almost feels like a win-win for Irelia. It just gives her much better stats that she can easily rely on rather than maybe hoping for that awkward critical strike chance damage. Without question, this is definitely going to be a great indirect buff to Irelia. And I don't know about you, but I'm seeing this champion being banned much more frequently now. The biggest question to me is, which champion is better with the new Triforce, Irelia or Jax? Either way though, I do recommend you watch out for both of these champions. And moving along to champion number 4, we have Godir. This guy feels like he's coming in and out of the meta so frequently lately, but I have to say, with the new Triforce, I am instantly expecting to see much more Udyrs in my games. It's not a secret that Triforce has always been a very good item on Udyr. Now, whether or not it was a staple item is the question, but it was definitely strong. And just like Irelia and Jax, Udyr never needed critical strike chance. I mean, again, you know, it's nice to have, but it also felt a little bit awkward and just simply not something you can rely on. This item is just a one item wonder. It does so many different things, it gives you so many different stats, and so many champions like Jax, like Irelia, and like Udyr can get Triforce and then just go pure tank, and chances are the Triforce is giving them more than enough stats that they need to still be doing a lot of damage. So what happened with Udyr and Triforce is, again, he just lost a potentially useless stat for much more consistent stats, something he can rely on, something he can proc his on-hit damage much more frequently, so his Phoenix stance or maybe his Tiger stance, while everything else of Triforce that Udyr loves is remaining the same, like the Sheen and the Phage extra HP and move speed. But on top of everything else, now he gets 20% from Triforce. Again, getting Frozen Heart as a second item means 40%. And what does more CDR mean for Udyr? More damage from his stances, much more frequent stances as well, and just a whole bunch of goodness. I've already seen a couple Udyrs run the new Triforce. It is actually quite scary, so definitely recommend watching out for the Godir running around like a maniac, doing an insane amount of damage, almost unkillable as well, very hard to catch, and overall just being as annoying as ever. And the final champion that I think is going to be overpowered with the new Trinity Force before we jump into the honorable mention is Ezreal. So I definitely want to throw in one ADC in this video because, well, I feel like a lot of ADCs tend to be fairly good with Triforce, whether it's Kog'Maw, Ezreal, or even maybe Vayne. And this was very difficult for me to choose between Kog'Maw and Ezreal, but after talking to some high elo players on the NA server, a lot of them said that Ezreal with the new Triforce should be much better than Iceborne Ezreal. And I simply trust their opinions, so I decided to put Ezreal over Kog'Maw. So way back when, way before Iceborne Ezreal was the thing, you would always build Triforce on this champion, you would do a lot of damage, you would just get raw AD items like maybe a BT. And his Q would hit for a lot of damage, it would be very deadly, and it's not something you can laugh at. And I feel like a broken record right now, but Ezreal never utilized critical strike well. He was one of the few ADCs that just simply did not need this stat, and the reason for that is because his Q cannot proc critical strikes. Even though Ezreal's Q is known to proc on-hit effects, critical strike has always been a very special type of on-hit effect. One that Ezreal's Q was never able to utilize, so having Triforce give a critical strike to him just didn't really feel all that useful because half of the time he's not even using it. So giving him extra attack speed, which is a very underrated stat in my opinion on Ezreal, is just gonna make things better. Because combined with his passive, he's gonna be doing a lot of damage in the late game while still having great poke. He's now also getting 20% from Triforce TriForce rather than 10% before, so that obviously means more effective damage because technically CDR is actually damage for Ezreal since he is a spellcasting ADC and about half of his damage comes from simply spamming his Q. Sheen has always been a great item on him, and obviously the Sheen in TriForce is just better than the one in Iceborne Gauntlet because it does more damage, has a better percent scaling. Phage is also fantastic because it gives him extra HP, it gives him nice damage in the laning phase. He's just harder to kill while also being a lot more mobile. And his Q does proc the Phage move speed, so that's a pretty nice thing. All in all, I'm expecting TriForce Ezreal to become popular once again. I mean, way back when again, it was so popular. It was just flat out the item to go on this champion. But Iceborne Gauntlet overshadowed it, but now with this new buff and this new revamp, I have to say I do feel like Iceborne Gauntlet just might not be the best option for him unless you're facing a very AD heavy enemy team comp that has a lot of dive potential. So if you ever decide to pull out the Ezreal in your ranked games or normal games, TriForce is definitely what I recommend with something maybe like a BT, Mirror Mana, and something like a Blade of the Rune King. Now very quickly, right before I end off this video, one honorable mention has to be going to Fizz. Now the reason he's in the honorable mention section is because I'm just not really sure how good the new TriForce is on him. Or to word it better, I'm not sure if it's better than the other options. So for instance, going full AP Fizz or going Iceborne Gauntlet into full tank Fizz. Yeah, TriForce can be pretty good on him because it does give him some stats that he wants. The Sheen effect, the attack speed is good for his W on hits, and the Phage is just Phage. I mean, you can't go wrong with the item. So we'll not be surprised if TriForce Fizz in the top lane, maybe even the mid lane followed by tanky items, so maybe Bruiser Fizz can be popular, but again, I'm not as sure as I was about the other 5 champions. That's why I put him in the honorable mentions. Just kind of want to throw him in here to let you guys know, you know what, maybe you should watch out for him, but you know, we're never really too sure. But either way guys, that is about it for this video. Those are my 5 OP champions with the new TriForce plus 1 honorable mention. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought about this video, what you think the champion is that is the best with the new TriForce. And if you end up enjoying this video, make sure to hit that like button, especially if you want me to make that Yasuo in-depth guide talking about all the different builds with Archidata. Also, here are my favorite comments from the previous videos question asking, what is your go-to sleeper or hidden OP champion? But either way guys, I thank you all so much for watching, and I really hope to see you for the next video. Peace.